Hello and welcome to an amazing podcast. This is D the Devastation.
This is Modi, the Mo Devastation.
The Mo Destruction.
Yeah, I was gonna go with Matt the malicious, but I think I have to go with Matt the Matt Devastation now.
I like that.
And we are talking about Trigun Stampede, and this is probably going to be my anime of the year. I've been insanely hyped for this series for a long time. This is being created by one of my favorite anime studios, Studio Orange, the creators of Land of the Lustrous and the number one I'm Not a Furry anime, Beastars. And I can finally enjoy a show that isn't a show by them that isn't pushing furry porn on me. I'm so happy about that. I can finally enjoy the plot without being distracted by the plot.
So you're saying that this entire time, instead of having cool sci-fi stuff, we could have been having furry porn?
Yes.
Damn it.
I mean, we are having it depending on which websites you go to. Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense though, because I've seen some clips from the Steven Universe anime, the Japanese Steven Universe, Land of the Lustrous, and the animation work on that's like usually like pretty good. Like the characters are very expressive, so that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, me too. I didn't realize that it was done by the studio that did those, but now that also makes sense to me because Beastars was like pretty much the only CG anime that I thought was good. Yeah. So makes sense.
Yeah, like I'm just happy I can finally say I love the art style because oh my god, this is what all CG anime should be in my opinion. This is what Chainsaw Man should have looked like in my opinion because this show takes so full advantage of the 3D and I love it for that because I'm so sick of anime studios trying to hide the fact that this is CG when it's obviously freaking CG. Berserk.
Lean into it. Use it. Yeah, you're totally right. Especially, this is also something we talked about when we were talking about Chainsaw Man, about how like when they did the smaller movements, right? You have so much more of that in Trigun, like all the little small Sakuga animations, like, and you can do that because of CG. You can do all the crazy angles. You can do so much more action. You can actually animate instead of doing slideshows. So, yeah, it's a good thing if it's done well, and I think it was done well with Trigun.
Honestly, I feel like that Chainsaw Man's one after like seeing more like stuff about it after watching the show. Like I've seen like a lot of manga panels about it. I feel like a lot of its charm, at least from the manga, and I've like seen this from some of the fans who have complaints about the anime. Some of the appeal is like the way that it's drawn in a very like, I don't want to say like not lazy, but almost like intentionally sloppy, I guess. To where it's like a lot more like expressive when drawn, where it's like you can't necessarily get with like a 3D stuff to the point where like if you're going to go 3D you gotta like kind of commit to that. Chainsaw Man's still very impressively animated, but it's definitely trying to hide from like it being 3D, right? Rather than embracing it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Yeah, because the thing about I've heard this discussion of 3D versus 2D. But 3D, and this is going to be a super hot take, and I might be a little biased, but I think cel-shaded 3D is the most superior form of animation because 3D and 2D both have their weaknesses. Like, 3D has and the way I sum it up is 3D is fluidity of motion and rigidness and shape. 2D has fluidity in shape, but rigidness in movement. And when you combine the two together for like a really good cel-shaded piece, so something like Dragon Ball Superhero, or something like Arcane, you get the best of both worlds because you can have those crazy 2D like warping, squash and stretch, morphing effects, and you can have the rigidness, the fluidity of movement that 3D has. But the nice thing is, since cell shaded does look very 2D, you can add a lot of 2D effects to the animation, and it won't look off point. Like when you're watching Arcane, you can see a lot of really crazy 2D explosions that are hand drawn.
Yeah.
And you couldn't do that with like a traditional 3D, like fully 3D production. And that is something I do want to take issue with Trigun, because it is 3D, and I'm happy that it is embracing 3D, but it is falling into some of the weaknesses of it, because when you watch it, so we were only reviewing the first 2 episodes, but there's a scene in episode 3 where I was really thinking to myself, like, man, this could have been way better if it was 2D animated, because there are a lot of moments where there's a lot of warping, there's a lot of distortion, there's a lot of like transformation stuff, and 3D isn't good with that. And if they just like hand drawn the 2D effects on top of it, it would have nailed it so perfectly.
Yeah, that's what Arcane does, though. It like does a very good job at blending like 2D and 3D. To even like I think like they'll do it in 3D, even like touch it up afterwards. Like especially because like, you can tell that there's like a lot of the shots where like in the same shot they'll like switch up I guess they switch up like the texture or something to like paint on the shadows. Like it's not just like all like in like rendering in the 3D engine. It's like they're going in and like hand painting them. So like that's a level of detail that I don't expect every show to follow. But yeah, like you said, I can see where some of the weaknesses come out. But I was just very impressed with how characters were so fucking expressive in the show. The way they moved is so good. I especially like the dynamic between the 2 like reporters. Like there's so much. Oh, and Vosh, of course. But like it's just like, even starting out, I was like, they actually recommended me a good thing to watch. Like
I know, right?
This is an anime.
wait, who
you guys
did they recommend you?
You guys.
Oh, okay.
We did it.
I thought this was going to be some shitty I knew nothing about this, and I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was going to be some shitty like fucking Bleach looking thing.
I'm sorry Chainsaw Man and Bleach and Jujutsu Kaisen. I apologize for that.
Well, that's another thing, is that there's like actual fucking like proper like world storytelling here. Like one particular thing that I noticed that I liked was a lot of the plot points would actually like follow each other or something. Like even stuff where it's like, oh, she asks to drink water because she doesn't drink, right? And then you notice the water is dirty. And that organically leads to the next plot point of like, oh, they explain why the water is dirty, and they talk about the planet like dying or whatever. But like, it's just like, it's nice to see that kind of organic storytelling where everything's not always like spelled out in such a tiring way.
Yeah. Dialogue in this was really good, by the way, too. Like, they never like sit down and just expo dump on you either.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's true.
It's good. Like, it's not even just like you can tell there's like care put into a lot of the dialogue and it matches well with the animation too. Like,
have either of you guys read or seen Dune?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I've seen it, but not read it because
we all went to see we all went to see the movie.
oh yeah, we did. Okay, yeah. All right. Yeah. I feel like the world of, because this is also, I haven't seen the original Trigun. This is my first time actually seeing Trigun, so this is like my first exposure to it. But I'm realizing that the world is probably based off of Dune a little bit, because it's like a futuristic sci-fi place on another planet that's like a desert.
Well, there's a lot of good like sci-fi inspiration, because even in the beginning, like the most immediate thing I noticed was like, felt very Star Wars New Hope, with like even like the way the shot is, where like the ship is flying above and you can see like how massive it is.
But also,
yeah.
Sorry.
No,
well, I was just gonna say, A New Hope also especially the beginning of the movie, mirrors Dune a whole lot too. That's actually like really interesting. That's all just like drawing from it.
I kind of feel like Trigun Stampede is like a fun version of Dune for people with ADHD.
Probably, yeah. That should be the log line for the show. You need to go update my anime list right now with that.
I also really like the idea of. I kind of almost wish the entire show was like these two reporters going around the galaxy and like going to different places. Like I know the focus of the show is probably going to be on Vosh and his stuff. But like my own personal thing was I would have loved a show where it was just like reporters going to different planets and like seeing different weird things and reporting on it.
Have you heard of Space Dandy?
I've not.
You should check that out. That's pretty much what you're asking for.
Okay.
Almost, that's another show you would. That is another like show we can say I'm pretty comfortable with saying you would like.
Okay, cool. Also, you
honestly,
guys, this fucking appealed so much to me. Like this sort of like dirty sci-fi like this is just like a perfect show that you guys had me watch. Like it just appealed to all my
really
like
oh my god, thank you.
I did not know you guys were like so interested. I completely forgotten because I'm just terrible. I completely forgotten that D wanted to watch Trigun all the way since probably last year.
Yes.
And I didn't know you would like it this much. So do you guys want to just like review the whole show then?
Yeah, honestly, I'm up for that.
Me too.
I mean, I have complaints about this still, but yeah, I'd be fucking up to watching this. This is like definitely up there with some of the stuff that we've seen. But
you know what I'm starting to get the feeling of? For the first time ever, I'm going to be the negative one because I don't think I like this as much as you guys. So this is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Nice.
Let me say my first negative thing.
Yeah.
The CG is great and all, but I think the space scenes and the spaceships, it looked kind of weird. Like it almost felt like paper cutouts. Like I don't know.
I'd have to rewatch.
But maybe that's just because I'm used to Star Wars. So
yeah. Oh yeah,
okay,
they actually use like little they actually use minis and yeah.
Yeah, maybe just because I'm subconsciously comparing it to like Hollywood level space fight scenes. So yeah, who knows?
So I think I know the reason for that. So the way typically cell shading. The way cell shading works is the characters are basically just flat lights, and whatever shading they have on them is usually hand painted or hand drawn. And the backgrounds typically either go two directions. They're either matte paintings where they're just hand drawn backgrounds.
Yeah.
Or they're fully CG with CG lighting, CG texturing, all that good stuff. Or they're a combination of the two. The desert scenes in Trigun are a mix of the two where you have fully 3D environments with hand-painted textures on them. The space scenes, I believe, and this is probably why I think it didn't resonate with you as much, is the space scenes are full 3D, I believe, where there's no cell shading, it's just your standard 3D lighting, your 3D texturing. It is full on CG, and I think that's kind of what's causing that whole disconnect.
And I think maybe here's what I think happened then, because that makes sense. And I think probably what they did was they I don't know what the proper word for it is, but I feel like they lowered the resolution on it somehow, because I feel like if they had actually kept it at the proper textures that would be or whatever, if it was fully CG, it would just not have looked anywhere close to what the rest of the show looked like. But I think whatever they did to make it look less realistic also just kind of made it look bad.
Yep.
But yeah. But yeah,
which is something. Yeah. Oh, you want?
No, you can go ahead.
I was gonna say that's something that a lot of CG anime sort of messes up with, and I call it trying to Spider-Verse it. So when you're watching Spider-Verse, you can see there's a lot of scenes where they use limited animation to try to get the jankiness of 2D animation, and the problem with that is it works really well in Spider-Verse. It works incredibly well in Spider-Verse, but that is a incredibly deceptively hard task to pull off, because you're essentially selectively making your stuff look worse. And the problem with that is you have a lot of studios that don't see the nuance behind Spider-Verse and just think like, oh, so if we want to make this animation look good, we have to make it look bad. Yeah. So they just take a sledgehammer to it when Spider-Verse takes a chisel to it, kind of.
Can I do a quick sidetrack? Because I know you guys saw Puss in Boots. Is Puss in Boots, how does it do that? Does it do good or bad on that?
It does really
front?
good. It's really good.
Great.
Okay.
Puss in Boots probably like one of the best movies of, was it last year, this year? I don't know.
Yeah, easily.
Wow. Okay.
Very good.
I enjoyed it more than Dragon Ball Superheroes.
Oh, okay. That's huge because, I remember you really liked that movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, I guess back to Trigun.
Trigun. Actually, I do have notes from the first episode.
Okay.
I thought the intro of Vosh, was that his name? Fucking Vosh?
Yeah. Vosh, Vash.
I really like the intro where he's just like fucking hanging there, and then like was it like crows started to swarm and he starts laughing and it's just like, see who the hell is this fucking crazy asshole? Like
that was a really good character intro for sure.
Yeah.
I also like Meryl.
I really like Meryl too. Her animations and expressions are really good.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
She's such a she is definitely like the side girl character, but they do such a good job of like taking her scenes to the absolute peak.
She's also kind of like a pleasant surprise because like at first they kind of make her seem like a goody two shoe, right? Mm-hmm. But then like you realize no, she's not a goody two shoe. She just really cares about her job, and she'll pretty much do anything, moral or immoral, to like just get her job done. So yeah, I like that too.
Oh yeah.
I liked particularly when Vosh was complimenting them and Meryl was like had this like really like bashful like animation.
Oh, yeah.
It's like really that's why I like started noticing. I'm like, okay, the animation of this show is really fucking good. Even for like small little moments like that, like very nice.
And it's the thing, like, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, the best part about that is everything is super consistent. Like, they set up like different like quirks or how certain characters would react, and they're always constant with them. Like, and this is jumping ahead a little bit, but in episode 3 and 4, there's a small scene where like everything's going to shit, and Meryl, like, you have Meryl and Roberto and this random kid, and in that scene, Meryl, when things are going to shit, Meryl specifically goes directly to try to help the kid while Roberto is bracing himself. And there's another scene where it's a similar setup where everything's going to shit. There's a kid, and Meryl's always the first person to go, like, try to grab them or try to save them. And you can't get, like, it's hard to get, like, really subtle, detailed animations like that in 2D sometimes.
Yeah,
you can do it, but it costs money.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, you can just make so many... The directing decisions are just going to be a lot less restricted with CG.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just the okay, so I'm going to be a little more negative. I also think we're getting too excited because I think it could be better. I think it could be better. I don't think it's I don't think it's good enough yet, but I think it's really good and better than, pretty much everything before. But yeah.
You see,
that is the good thing about CG. Like, you could just... You're more free. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
This is why I'm so upset about Berserk 2016. Like, that show dropped and made every single weeb develop a crippling hate and prejudice towards CG animation, okay?
Yeah.
Well, that's just what I understand. I feel like Berserk's one of those shows where you really wouldn't use CG. Like, I could see CG working for this thing. I mean, maybe even 2D, it would have been better, but, like, I think they do a very good job at, like... Because, like, the next step would be doing something like Spider-Verse or Arcane, where it's just, like, painstakingly, like, and honestly, the same amount of, like, effort you would. I think this is, like if this was, like, translated to, like, a 2D, like, thing, too, like, it would be kind of, like, equivalent. I think they're putting in the amount of, like, effort that they need to, at least for right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and, I mean, it's true. Deep down, I want it to look like Arcane. That's pretty much what I'm saying.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I also think, even though that may not be possible now, I feel like in the future, like probably not even that far off, it'll probably become cheaper to make stuff like Arcane. So
Yeah.
I have hope.
I don't know. I feel like maybe you can like simulate some of the details that you could with Arcane, but I still feel like there needs to be a lot of, because Arcane uses like a lot of older sort of methods of like doing things that just like look better. They're like not as efficient, but they're like they make it look really fucking nice. So like
You mean like painting?
yeah,
Is that what you're
like
talking
literally
about?
going in there and painting. Yeah. So
Right. Okay.
like it would still
So-
kind of require you to like put passion and love into your project to the degree they did with Arcane.
So then, in a way, I know we're getting sidetracked. Sorry, I just want to ask one more thing. So then,
Yeah.
actually, never mind. This is way too sidetracked. What were you gonna say, D?
Like this isn't the
So,
best
I
that,
was
that
gonna-
we've seen from 3D like ever. Like again, I would put something like Arcane or even like something like Spider-Verse or like that kind of stuff. Like very stylized, very like at the maximum that I've seen so far. Like this isn't at there, but as far as like what I was expecting from just like an anime you guys told me to watch, I was very like pleasantly surprised about the amount of like, because I would say it's like better than Chainsaw Man just because of the way they really like embrace the 3D.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I will say that my only issue is I've never been the biggest fan of like desert environments because they always feel so vacant and empty. But I do
Same.
think a lot of the steampunk stuff in the city and all the rust does help it out a little bit more.
True. Yeah, I also don't really like desert environments. To me, honestly, a desert environment just feels like no environment. That's the thing about it. Like, yeah, I feel like it's kind of pointless.
No, I completely agree with, especially the type of.
But it
desert
makes
they
sense
have. It's
for
like
in
Mad
terms
Max.
of the world building and the plot. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But like, in terms of how it actually feels, I don't. Yeah, I don't care about it.
I kind of want them to go to other planets. That's why I said like the idea with the reporters. I kind of want them to go to other planets. Like I know probably the rest of this is going to take place in a desert because that's like the type of show it is. But like I don't know. I'm curious to see more like sci-fi stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Like, I definitely want to see this world built out and fleshed out more, because I think an anime can really do a lot with a desert environment, sort of just playing, like, there's a lot of cool stuff you could do with the desert, with, like, Egyptian culture, post-apocalyptic stuff,
No,
Oasis and everything.
Think
but I
of
feel
Mad
like-
Max. Like Mad Max Fury Road, like it all takes place in a desert, but there's still so many different like really cool environments and the way they play around with like coloring for each like shot. Like that Trigun Stampede isn't doing that. Like it's like pretty flat all around as far as like whenever they go out in the desert. And that is like a big worry, is that I think the parts of the environment, especially in the desert, are like probably going to like kind of suffer.
Yeah.
But I guess
But
it's
the
yet to be
action
seen.
makes up for it.
Easily.
Yeah.
At least for me.
Yeah.
Like, the action in this isn't very high concept, but it's executed so well. Oh my god, the whole scene where,
Yeah.
like, Vash is screaming for the bullet, like,
Oh my
Meryl
God,
running
yes.
to throw it to him, and then him just, like,
Bruh. Okay, so I wanted to talk about Vash too because, so like I said, I never watched the original Trigun, but just over the years, I've always seen just like screenshots and clips and stuff like that and Trigun aesthetic stuff. And like, I always thought Vash was pretty much the exact opposite of the character he actually is. I thought he was like you know what I mean, right? Like, I
looked
feel
like
like I
a-
don't even have to go into it. Yeah, like, and he's not who I thought he was, which is interesting. He's not like a battle-hungry meathead.
yeah, like, he has, like, I think the other thing that kind of hurts, like, causes that is he looks a lot like Alucard from Hellsing,
Oh,
who is,
that,
like,
yes,
a
true.
complete blood-parched meathead.
Right.
So,
Yeah. That doesn't help either. Yeah, that's true.
mm.
What
But
did you guys
you-
think about... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
What do you guys think about the character designs in general?
I like them. So, this is going to be I have interesting feelings about this. Because the reason I like cell shading so much is because you can load up your characters with more extra detail and flesh out the design. Like, say what you
Yeah.
will about Ruby, but I think they always know to put the exact amount of detail into their characters. And I feel that same way with stuff like Guilty Gear and a lot of, like, CG games. Like, say something like Genshin Impact, I think, has a bit of an over design issue, but it's still all that is thanks to the cell shading look of it. I feel like the designs for Trigun work fine. I think they're pretty good, but I think they're a little under designed. I would like to see a little bit more more details, more baubles, more greebles on them.
Yeah.
Like I think
agree with
Meryl
that.
and Roberto works fine, but Vash's coat is just so perfectly red and straightforward that I think it's a little empty.
Also, for him being such like a hero that goes all over the place and is always like they just found him like left for dead, like hanging by his feet as like crows are around him. Like I feel like he should have picked up a lot of stuff and like look a lot rougher, especially since I'm looking up like how he's looked in the past, and I feel like that's conveyed better when he's been like drawn.
Yes.
Even some of the I noticed they redesigned a lot of the characters like but like yeah, I think it's missing a lot of sort of details to all of the to some of their designs that it could have really used.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with both of you. I think the character designs, they're like, I think they're passable, but I think for the
Yeah.
most part, they're kind of underwhelming because I feel like it's probably what it is they're like in 2D mode, and in 2D you have to be kind of like more spare with the character designs because you have to literally draw every frame, and in 3D you can probably be more expressive and literally just put more stuff on the character.
You know the weird
but
part is
probably, yeah.
I'm looking at like Vash's original design, and okay, this is gonna be a crazy hot take, but I like his new hair a lot better. But
That's
I feel
fair.
like his older outfit would be perfect for 3D. Like it has like that maximum level of detail that just works really nice.
Yeah.
And it's like it's something you couldn't. That would be a pain to draw every frame, but would be super doable in 3D.
Like, also, he's got like because right now he's just kind of got that like big coat. But I think his thing was a lot cooler in other iterations. Just yeah. Also,
Yeah, I think-
random question. How fucking old is Meryl? She looks like she's like 10.
I think she's supposed. If I had to guess, I'm gonna say 19.
Okay.
She graduated from some university, right?
University, yeah. She's probably like an adult, but they do the.
So, but then
anime
again,
thing.
this is the desert
Anime.
planet, so maybe they
Yeah.
go to college at like the age of 12 or something. Who knows?
Listen, she seems like an overachiever, so I buy that.
Yeah, she's a super genius.
Like
Yeah,
Jimmy
but I just want to
Neutron.
say a little bit more about the costume designs. They just felt like, even putting aside Vash's, they just felt kind of monotone and bland. Especially, I'm thinking about the military police.
Yeah.
It was just like, yeah, I don't know.
No,
More
I
color
agree.
would be nice, I think. But yeah,
Again,
It
Arcane,
feels
there's
like-
so much like detail to the fucking outfits. To everyone fucking wear, even the background. There's just so much good detail, so much it tells you about them. It's
But-
just so perfect. But you know,
I'll-
I can't compare everything to Arcane. But
yeah.
I
But
will
I
say
also
like
want
the.
to.
Okay.
I also want to just caveat everything I'm saying with just me acknowledging that this is the first show that's even gotten close to, like, it's just
Yeah, it's
I'm
really
acknowledging
good.
that yeah it's really good still.
I definitely agree with how you say it, where it feels like it feels like the character designers were designing characters for a 2D show instead of a 3D show.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'd say because again, like, I just feel like their outfits don't always fit how their character's supposed to be. And I feel like they go a lot more with it. Like, even what's the name of the other guy who's like always drinking?
Roberto.
Roberto.
Mhm.
Okay. he should like I think he should like for example his outfit he should like look a lot more like a mess because like that's what he is. But right now everything's so like kind of like monotone and there should be like stains and shit on it. I just like little details like that I think would go a long way to say a lot about their character. But like again right now it seems like they just selected like one of the default materials and just like changed the base color and that's it.
Yeah, because like one thing they could have really done that would have been really interesting is just play up the contrast between them, where like Meryl's more cleaner cut, more normal
Yeah.
dressed, and Roberto's more he looks more post apocalyptic. Like he is like the grizzled reporter, but he is like very dirty. He is very like rough, tattered clothing everywhere.
Like Meryl's the only one that should look like her stuff's like always clean or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and then whereas like the other two, I feel like should look like they've been doing it for a while. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's something that I'm noticing now that you're pointing it out.
I just realized that we haven't talked about the plot at all.
Oh, I've comments
Listen,
about the
plot isn't necessary. Okay.
Really? Is that actually what you think for this? Because I know sometimes you don't really care that much about plot. Is this one of those shows?
Okay, so I stand by my statement. Avatar: The Way of the Water supports that statement.
Come
It
on.
made 20 billion, so you can't deny that. But I will say, I enjoyed the visuals, I enjoyed the characters, but I do think the plot isn't the thing that's driving me to watch this show. Like,
Oh,
I definitely think this is a situation where the plot is good enough that it doesn't distract you from the visuals. But
okay.
at the exact same time, if I was just like reading this as a book, I probably wouldn't be as engaged as I would normally.
Okay, so then maybe what I said about me being the negative one won't be so bad because I feel like most of my criticism is going to come plot wise, but if you guys are going to agree with me on that, then it's like, okay, all right, cool.
No, I have my fair share of complaints with the plot. I will say this though, from how like overcomplicated BS shit that comes from anime, I do like how a lot of this is like a lot more simplified to where it doesn't give me like a fucking headache. But with it being oversimplified is also like causes some problems and like makes the plot like a little less interesting than I think it could be.
I think the biggest issue is the character doesn't have a really strong motivation for me, and he doesn't have a clearly defined goal. Like, if you watch JoJo's, they always have
Yeah.
like a clear goal where they have to like, oh, we have to travel to Egypt to beat Dio, or we have to beat this mob boss, or oh, we have to find the serial killer. I don't feel like at this moment Trigun has that, and the fact that it doesn't have that already is concerning.
It's scary to me that you're saying that because I've only watched the first two and you've watched the first four. So that means I have two
Okay.
more episodes of that not happening.
Okay, to be fair, they establish a goal, but it isn't like a hard goal. Like,
Okay.
they establish the main villain, they establish like who they have to beat, but it isn't like JoJo's where they're like hyper focused on this goal. It's just like the most recent two episodes have this very okay, we're just living life, we're just rolling along kind of vibe.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I agree. Also I'm not a big fan of the whole evil brother. I don't know if it's just like the fact that I hate children, but like the whole like I have an evil brother and there's that shot where he's like laughing at the ship blowing. That just kind of annoyed me. I don't know why it just really fucking pissed me
Same,
off for some reason.
honestly.
He makes
Yeah.
that like crazy face like. And it's like,
Same.
oh, just shut up. That's so less like that made me like kind of lose a lot of interest in the plot. Like I hate how this is like where this show's going.
I don't, yeah,
'Cause it-
like, yeah.
Because it feels like he's a villain who is just evil for the sake of being evil, not for like the sake of like
That's right. Yeah.
like not from the sake of like sadism where I'm just a bad guy, I love doing it. It's just like humanity's evil and we have to destroy it, and look how beautiful and smart I am for coming up with this amazing statement.
And
me-
it looks like
to
they were
me-
doing some kind of like cool edgy thing where it's like, no, I just think it's dumb. I'm sorry.
What he looks like to me is not someone who's like just naturally evil, but someone who's pretending to be naturally evil. Like someone who's edgy and
Yeah,
just wants to
yeah.
be that guy, you know?
That's so correct. That's so true.
So that's what he reminds me of. That's the thing that just like turns me off about it. It's like I'm hoping I'm wrong though. I don't know. I haven't seen the original. Like I said, maybe I don't know. I really am hoping I'm wrong. But so
what
far,
would've
I
been,
just
like-
yeah.
What would have been interesting is what if he was like considered the evil one, and maybe his like brother went into like the law enforcement or something, and that's where the conflict arose. Like, I just not have him be like, oh, I have an evil twin brother. I don't know. I'm just kind of tired of, especially like how you said like they treated it. Like,
Yeah.
it's just annoying. I honestly would have preferred a show where like their main motivation is like trying to like make enough money to survive, but like him being like a total pacifist kind of like conflicts with that because it just makes everything harder for him.
You know, I would love if the twin brother wasn't evil, and they had the dichotomy where like Vash is really nice, but he has such bad luck that wherever he goes, it just goes to a massive disaster. Where the brother is more active, but he keeps things in order, and it's just him trying to like arrest his brother to keep him from like accidentally destroying more stuff.
That would have been like a fun again, going back to fucking Arcane. Like, it's just like a fun dynamic, like I have a sibling where like as soon as you make one just completely evil, I just kind of lose interest. I don't know, because like also can I point out there was enough room in that pod. This is a real Jack situation. So there was so much room in that pod.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Also, let's just talk about how fucking poorly this ship was designed. Like, why do you need someone to stay outside and launch the escape pod? Why can't you launch them from the inside? This thing was literally designed to have sacrificial pawns.
That's so true.
There's so much little writing stuff like that that's really annoying. That I mean, it's just very apparent to me because all the other like stuff is really good. Like this is stuff that's like in anime all the time for me, but. And this like show is better at it than some of the other stuff I've watched, but like, damn, I don't know.
I totally.
Sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say I totally agree because I've seen like stuff like that too, and the thing is, I'm just thinking in my mind like, am I just being too nitpicky, or is this just like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes it's hard to tell whether it's just something you should just let go, or is it actually something that you should be like, wait, this makes no sense, you know?
When it keeps happening consistently, I think it's enough to like point out because it just there's like all these little things. Also, can you guys tell me what I liked the sequence with Vash and the weird like police guy. What was he doing though? Like not what Vash was doing, but like why was the police guy like raining down fucking like missiles on everybody?
Because he wanted to make sure he got the job done. Like, it's called being thorough, man.
Like, it was so funny that he like threw his gun away and just pulled out a rocket launcher. Like that was hilarious to me. But I just don't know why he did that though. Like with the
I love that scene so much. Like he's just like. I loved it so because it's just like Vash being like, "No, this is stupid," and he's like, "You're right. This is stupid." Throws the gun down, pulls out the freaking rocket launcher, fires the missile that explodes into like 100 smaller missiles. Like, was just so overly escalated to a beautiful degree.
The more I think about that policeman guy, the more I realize he was actually just completely insane because like. Why would you let yourself just get you already have your 6 million bounty guy in like in the ropes, right? Like tied up. Why would you just let someone like trick you into doing a duel with him? And then why would you like even the fact that you're doing a duel is dumb because you're gonna kill him. Well, is he dead or alive? Maybe I have the wrong.
It's dead or alive, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
But okay,
either way, he's still insane because he pretty much was going to suicide himself for what? I don't know.
And even his men were like, "What the fuck?" And they started running. Like, if you want to have a character that's insane or like the character's like so honor bound that he's not going to refuse a duel, that's fine. But there was no indication that was the case, and like his whole motivations were so like confusing to me that as much as I enjoyed the scene, the entire time I was thinking like, why are you doing this? Why are you insane? Why are you fucking weird?
That's what I'm saying. Like, this has the Avatar effect where the plot is just good enough to let you enjoy the visuals, but the second you start thinking about it, it falls apart.
That's the problem though. I like thinking about shows, especially when I like the visuals. So it's just so uninteresting. Like, it would have been so much more interesting if this was a result of us knowing the characters, like us knowing, like that way it would have been like a natural progression of things where it's like, yeah, of course he would have like went to blown up, or like, it's just like not. I don't know. It's just so
I think
weird.
another way it could have worked is if the tone of the show matched that character, because like a character like that would work in JoJo, but in this the tone of the show's kind of too serious for him to like make sense. It was weird. I mean, the action, this is the good thing about it, the action pretty much completely distracted me from that. Like, yes. I didn't think about it at all. The only reason I thought about it is because I actually had to actively go back and think about the episode because we're doing this, but like otherwise, like,
well, that kind of action would have made more sense for the next two characters that were like introduced like in the second episode. It's just it was so out of character for this guy with what very little we knew, that him like suddenly being insane and all of his like men also like even his men thought he was fucking crazy. Like it just it was just kind of one of those moments like, okay, why? Like, rather than like a cool moment, like at least for me. But again, the action was really cool. Like him throwing up a rock and shooting it, and like the shrapnel hitting all the missiles. That was neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I was also thinking at that time, like, how could he possibly know like that bullet would break the rock into those exact pieces to hit every single thing? But I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah,
it looks cool.
Fair.
I'm just picturing a scene where like it fails and he just starts screaming for a different type of bullet, like, I need a 33 at least caliber bullet.
You know what I just realized? This show is pretty much like the prime example of the rule of like the less
cool.
Yeah, the less sense you make, the cooler it has to be. And if you mess up that balance, it's really bad. But so far they're doing a good job.
Oh yeah.
I think rule of cool is more of you prioritize being cool than like anything else. But like
maybe, I guess.
I think it could have been even cooler if it was a moment that like made sense within the show. Like, I just don't think we were given it enough for it to be like a good payoff. Yeah.
I don't think it kind of
is what it is.
I don't think it needed to make sense because, like I said, I literally didn't notice. I didn't care. I was just lost in all the action. So I don't think most people noticed.
I think it could have been good if I understood what the fuck was happening, because I was just kind of confused the whole time. I was like, wait, why is he like gonna? Because my thought is like, oh, he's gonna destroy the town and blame it on Vosh or something. But then I was like, wait, no, that doesn't make any sense. I don't know.
Yeah, I was just caught up in the music, and I was like, "Oh, this something hype is about to happen."
You can't let them jangle the keys in front of you and get away with it.
I'm a sucker for that stuff. Like, they'll get me 100% of the time. Honestly.
See, I'm not as bad as I used to be, but if you jingle the keys hard enough and loud enough, I just have to like marvel at them.
Yeah.
Well, he was even like, I remember in the second episode, I was thinking the entire time, why isn't the old guy like using his rocket launcher, right? And I was like about to like write that down as like a complaint. And then like as soon as I was about to do that, he said like, "Oh, I'm trying to save on money," and I'm like, okay. Like, I actually thought that was like funny because I was like funny. Wondering that the entire episode, and they gave like a kind of humorous explanation for it.
What did you guys think about that?
And there's a bit of world building too, which is really nice.
Yeah, true. What did you guys think about him? And I mean, his whole story, his plot line, and his son, and all that stuff.
I'm mad. All right. Like, they're not my favorite, but I like them.
I like his voice actor. Like,
really
his voice actor did a good job.
So I like. Okay, so as monsters of the week kind of villains, I love them because they do something I like. Where this is something I like, but can be botched up really hard. Where they make the villains pieces of shit, but they still care about one another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, My Hero Academia drives me crazy where they try to do this whole, like, oh man, we're all best friends. Oh no, my best friend villain just died. This is so sad. But here, it's just like, yeah, they clearly care about each other. They clearly have a natural love for one another. But it never treats it as, like, these are people that you should be caring about. It never, like, has you ever questioning that these are bad people, and I really enjoy it.
I don't wear it on its shoulder. Like, I think it's good enough to where like they're not they're just kind of greedy, right? And they
Mhm.
like obviously do care about like he likes this. They keep on bringing that like don't make my son stupid or something because
Mhm.
Rudy
I'll,
gets hit in the head.
do
But
you
like,
guys?
sorry, go on.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, do you guys feel like there's a really sad backstory coming, like brewing for that old man, based on what you said, Matt, about like
Oh,
don't,
maybe.
because he keeps saying I can't let my son get any stupider, like we can't go back to jail. I don't know. I'm like hoping that there's like some sad backstory that's gonna come up in like the next episode. Here's what I'm hoping for this series as a whole. I feel like it's gonna be a bunch of villains of the week. I'm hoping that the villains of the week come back later on and like it's not just a one off. Maybe I'll be wrong, but like it would be cool if like, this story gets started off and then they move on to somewhere else and then later on the old man comes back, I don't know. Like season 2 of Avatar, if you guys know what I'm talking about. But yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I like the idea of just like Vosh keeps on encountering like bounty hunters and just like either befriends or like defeats like every one of them.
Yeah.
Like it's like like it's just fucking cheesy as it might be. Like,
And then at the end
I
they
am
all
getting
come
tired.
together and defeat his brother in the name of friendship.
Yeah, yeah. Or they're just like part of the crew. Some like or they're just like here and like, kind of like in was it One Punch Man where it's like there's that weird like animal guy or something or the fucking no what was it like the gang leader or something and then like the show will just randomly cut to them in their apartment, just like hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like. I kind of like that kind of stuff, even if it's kind of like cheesy. I'm just kind of tired of anime protagonists kind of being like, "Oh, I'm super nice and pacifist, but also want to beat the shit out of this like guy," because we need to have like action.
Right
Hey,
now,
as long as it's still pacifism as long as you don't kill someone.
I actually, for me, that might be like honestly one of my all-time, no, not one of, probably my all-time favorite trope of like the character who's like really good at fighting but doesn't fight anyway, and when they do fight,
Yeah.
it's like really evasive. I love that so much. That's why I really like. That has to be my favorite thing about Trigun actually, when I think about it.
Because it's like a problem-solving exercise almost, where it's like,
Yeah.
we know this character's powerful. The main thing is like, how are they going to accomplish this without breaking their like morals and code?
Yeah.
It's kind of like with Batman. Like, if Batman wanted to, he could just probably fucking drone strike all the fucking villains or whatever. But like he purposely limits himself because he doesn't want to become as monstrous as the people he's fighting. And in like in most recent iterations, he actually like wants to help people, right? I think that creates for like a more interesting like protagonist instead of them just being like, I have the more powerful move, therefore I win. Where instead it's like how can I get through this without like just fucking murdering him?
Yeah. I think the most interesting thing about the show that I'm looking forward to right now is probably the I want to learn more about why this world is like so bad, I mean, I know it's because they're on a desert planet or whatever, but like I just want to learn more about that in terms of plot because I feel like the brother plot line is going to be pretty simple, but I think the world is pretty interesting, so I hope they
I mean, yeah, that's my main fear is I want to see what's happening with the plot like everywhere else, but the whole brother thing is kind of like I don't really care about that, but I know we're gonna have to like address that most of the show.
There's another thing kind of related to that. Like at the beginning of episode 2, it starts off with like Vash just sitting at his desk tinkering or something, and it's like the radio guys talking about how trash the world is pretty much. It's just so funny because he's like, maybe we would be better off dead. Anyway, here's a tune. And then they just start playing the music. Yeah.
Still a shithole, but how's about some nice tunes to make it slightly more bearable?
Yeah. Yeah, do you guys have any... I feel like I've pretty much said everything I want to say about these first 2 episodes. Do you guys have anything?
So, I think my last critique of it goes back to the whole blending of 2D effects with 3D cell shading. So, I'm going to call this show's use of effects very, very Houdini-y. And what I mean by that is Houdini is this very powerful software that's perfect, that's used a lot for like gas, smoke, and explosion simulations. And this uses smoke simulations to an excessive degree where it doesn't really take me out of it, but it's just the smoke and everything is just so detailed that it does make me raise my eyebrow a little bit. It figures I'm the person who's like critiquing the explosions, but
Yeah. I also think there's probably literally no one else on the planet who would have noticed that but you. I mean, no, just kidding. Other than animators, but like, yeah.
Yeah.
listen. I'll like 8 out of 10 show, 5 out of 10 explosions.
The explosion connoisseur.
Yep.
Yeah, Matt, any thoughts?
I mean, I just think, like, even with all the problems I have with it, I think it's just maybe kind of the, it feels more unique than, like, the other anime that I've seen. It also feels like it's, like, better at handling its tone a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I feel like, which almost, like, gives it, like, a pass sometimes for me with how, like, other shows will kind of be, like, take itself like super seriously, or it's like power systems like so gritty and dark, and it like tries to say that it's more complicated than it is. Whereas like this kind of feels like, oh, it's just like a we're doing a like space western goofy thing, which makes I think some of the faults like less prominent, but I still think that they're there, and it's like not perfect, but like I appreciate it taking that direction more, and being able to like do that.
Yeah. Rating?
I give it I want to give it a 9, but I think it has 10 out. Like I'll give it a 9 for visuals and animation. A 5. I think the plot is just mediocre, so maybe a 6. But all in all together, I'd give it a rock solid 8.5 out of 10.
Okay. For me, actually, before I give my rating, I want to say that this show is this show's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I was gonna say a lot, but I just decided I'm gonna have a whole season to talk more about it.
That's
so,
true. Yeah.
7.5 or 8 out of 10 for me.
Yep.
What about you, Matt?
I'm really I was really pleasantly surprised with this. I thought with a name like Trigun Stampede, it was going to be some like dumb thing you guys haven't watched, but I appreciate the artistry that went into the craft, because I'm like normally used to some like very lazy stuff. But like it's probably one of the favorite things that we've watched, but I'll probably also give it like a 7.5 out of 10.
Nice.
Okay, all right. I mean, and also that's for me, my rating, that's the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I
Same
guess
here.
next week we'll do, I know 3 and 4 are already out, so maybe next week we'll do a triple review of 3, 4, and 5. You guys want to do that?
Sure.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So thank you for watching, and tune in for that next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.